Rocking and rolling, man. We're rolling on a river. Let's do this.
There you go.
Mate, brother, I like I said, I just want to say thank you for giving me a little bit of your time and mate, this is an honor.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's do it.
B BJJ, man. Like it's pretty rad. Like what got you into BJJ?
Yeah, so I started jiu-jitsu in 2001 when I was 14 years old. And I have two older brothers. They're 3 and 6 years older than me. And the one who is 3 years older than me, we were on that phase that I was 14 years old, he was 17. And then all his friends would come home to play video game. And then at the end, they would always grapple in the carpet. And there was always like this small guy that would beat everybody. And then I asked him how did he do that, and he told me that he used to do jiu-jitsu, and he was a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. So then he invited me to start, and that's kind of how I started.
Amazing, man. And you've not stopped since.
I never stopped it since. So yeah, that became my job and my purpose in life, kind of.
I love that, man. Like the more people I speak to with martial arts in any form, right? Whether it's jujitsu, whether it's kickboxing, whatever it is, right? As soon as they start, they don't stop. And I think that's beautiful, man. You know, it feels like from an outsider's perspective, you've found your calling in life. And it's just like
Yeah,
this is either what I like to do, it's my hobby, or this is everything that I am. And I just think it's beautiful.
yeah. No, that's how it happened. And I was young at that time. I was 14 years old, and 1 year later, I already knew that this would be like my job and my man and everything. Like.
That's special, man. So a question I would have then is uh what is the biggest thing you've learned from practicing jiu-jitsu?
And jiu-jitsu is the type of sport that people call like the gentle art because it's an art, and even though it's a fight, it's kind of gentle, but in the same time, like you learn a lot about how to deal with adversities
Mhm.
because it's literally like one man fighting another man on the ground. So you're constantly on uncomfortable positions, and you shouldn't give up. Like you should find ways to get out of the uncomfortable positions and put your opponent on uncomfortable positions.
Mm.
So it's a lot like life is. Like many times in life we are on uncomfortable positions and we can't give up. Like so we got to figure out a way to get out of that situation and get better. So jiu-jitsu teaches us a lot of that on every day, and it's
Mm.
also great for mental clarity because different than many sports, for example, if you're running, if you're jogging, you're thinking, right? You think about your life, you think about what you did today, what you're gonna do tomorrow. Jiu-jitsu, you're literally like in another planet when you're fighting. Like you don't think about anything else besides what you have to do. Like you're worried about your opponent choking you. Like, so you're not worried about your bills. You're not worried about anything besides like defend yourself and attack. Like so it's great for mental clarity.
Mm. And I think that's a really important point, brother. You know, I think most of us, if not all people on the planet at this moment in time, need that little switch off where it's like
Yep.
we can no longer think about anything. It's this like meditative state, right? And that's why I like lifting weights, you know, like if I don't, it's going to break me. It will
Yeah.
literally fold me in two, and I'll be like, oh, okay, well, like I got a
Yeah.
long road to recovery now. You know, I
Yeah.
have to
Something is
concentrate.
missing, right? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. No, and yeah, you brought a good point. Like jiu-jitsu has that switch off button that you can turn and you're off for 1 hour and
Mm,
then you're back to the real world again. So
mm. That's the issue with, I guess, social media and being connected all the time, right? Well, I mean, us right now is a great example. We're cross like time zones, you know, which is fantastic. We're able to have this conversation, but at the same time, it's like, oh well, people can always get hold of you, so you can always work, you know, and
I agree.
it just kind of builds that stress, and that anxiety is just always on. And it's like, well, when we're on, let's work hard, and then when we're off, let's not think about work, let's do something
Yeah.
else.
No, I agree. I fully agree. And yeah, and I think, and the world is becoming more and more and more like cell phone,
Yeah,
computers,
yeah.
technology. So yeah, having the ability to do something that you are completely off of all these things, I think it's becoming more and more important. You know, like
Mm. What would you say is the biggest thing you've learned from teaching jujitsu?
teaching jiu-jitsu, I think it's how to deal with humans. You know, like because when you teach jiu-jitsu, you realize that everybody is very different from each other. You know, like some people are very talented, some people are not as talented, but they're hard workers.
Mm.
Some people, their body doesn't help much what they're doing, so they have to get in shape first. So you learn how to deal with people, you know, like and so that's one of the things that I think I learned the most through teaching jiu-jitsu.
Mm. And again, that's a transferable skill, right? Like we need to be able to communicate with different types of people. You know, everybody's going to be slightly different, although we are very similar in nature. You know, there's going to be slight nuances from person to person, and as coaches, as instructors, or as teachers, right? We need to be able to adapt the way that we present ourselves so other people can understand it. And I think that
Yep.
again is that's a beautiful practice. I think that the teaching process is also an art form. And with you, like you're teaching an art form during doing an art form, if that makes sense. And I think it's
Yep.
this beautiful combination between two different artistic outlets that we're able to help people.
No, I agree. I agree. And yeah, and when you're teaching and when you're learning, you're both on both situations. You're learning, you know,
Yeah.
like and so I learned a lot through teaching as well. So
It's really special, right? Like teaching is such a special job. You know,
so
I say a lot that it saved my life, and I mainly mean that because it taught me so much that I can now see the world through a different perspective.
yeah, I agree. And it's a very powerful form of connection as well. You know, like when you're teaching someone, you're connecting with that person in a different way. You know, like
Mm,
than just talking.
mm.
So that person is literally like listening to you, so and doing what you tell them to do. So it's a definitely like a very deep connection between humans.
Yeah, and you're sharing something, right? Like you're
Yep.
sharing a part of yourself to another human being. And yeah, okay, you're learning from it, so you're getting something from it in that way, but you're not necessarily in the common sense getting something back from it. It's like, oh, okay, you're teaching me something, right? And in this moment in time, like I'm mainly the one that's receiving stuff rather than giving it back. And I think
Yeah.
that sharing of knowledge, you know, like if we go back to ancient world, like that's how we thrive, sharing knowledge. I mean, we still do it today, right?
Yeah. No, I fully agree. Fully agree.
Wow. So where would you where would you advise somebody start that wanted to get into jiu-jitsu but also was pretty scared that it's this crazy violent grappling sport, right? Where would you start to break down those one mental barriers and then two obviously getting them physically into the
No,
gym?
I think like any if you're joining the right place, you shouldn't be scared. You know, like, because so that's probably the thing I would say here. Like, make sure that the school you're joining it's a legit jiu-jitsu school, and you can find that out just through like checking on Google if they have great reviews. If this school looks like a jiu-jitsu school, not like an MMA type of school, because if it's a legit place, legit gym, you should get there. Probably there is a class for beginners, and you're gonna get introduced to the art on a slow piece type of motion, you know, like. And the wrong place, it's the place that you show up very first day, they put you to spar, someone goes crazy hard against you, you don't even know what's going on, and now you're frustrated, you heard something, and isn't that so? It should be like a very introduction type of style, you know, like you come in first day, you learn 2 or 3 moves, they explain to you what jiu-jitsu is about. Maybe it's even like a private type of lesson, a 30 minutes lesson. Then second class, you are with the group, but you're not sparring. You're still getting introduced. You're doing very basic moves. Then third day, you learn a little more. You're still not sparring. And then you start sparring maybe like after 2 or 3 weeks. And even though it's not like a regular fighting, it's just like specific moves, like you start on the mount and the guy on board has to escape, that kind of stuff. And so if you join one of these schools, and this school should be clean, should have a good schedule, the instructor should have a good vibe. Like if you show up and the guy's like all like bad mood, that kind of like tough type of face, and he doesn't treat you well, you're not in the right place. Like, so if you join a place that's clean, the instructor is very friendly, they have assistant for beginners and this and that, you shouldn't be scared. Like it's just like another sport. It's very fun, and I think everybody can see how much it's growing around the world. Like and even the level of people that are doing jiu-jitsu lately. Like it's like Joe Rogan is one of the biggest ambassadors. Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, is obsessed with jiu-jitsu. You see like all these very smart people, they're all doing jiu-jitsu. So there is a reason why. Like it's because it's such a great sport. Like, and yeah.
Do you think one of the reasons why these high top level guys and ladies across the world are doing jiu-jitsu is because it does make you switch off?
For sure. Like I think a lot of them do to kind of like to create mental clarity on their brains, and because it's important, right? They're operating high performance, and also to keep challenging themselves on how to deal with adversities, how to overcome obstacles, and that kind of stuff. So jiu-jitsu is a very challenging sport, like because it's different when you play tennis ball against someone and the person win the match, and when you grapple jiu-jitsu with someone and that person who you're in a strangle, got an armbar, got the mount on you. As a human, it's gonna be a lot more suffering to lose a jiu-jitsu match than to lose a tennis ball match. So that it's challenging, like, and I'm talking about mental suffering. I'm not even talking about like you're not gonna get hurt or anything like that, but so I think this is one of the reasons for sure.
Yeah, that mental suffering I think is also really important.
Yeah.
I think as human beings we need to suffer in some way, right? I think we need to be able to deal with adversity in some kind of way, and we create a life of comfort, right? And then we then question ourselves why we're freaking out all the time, or why we're really anxious, or not satisfied and stuff. And it's like, guys, if we just kind of earn it a little bit more, self-suffer, go out and do something that sucks. Oh, why are you doing this today? Because, to be honest with you, because I don't want to. That feeling of satisfaction afterwards is unparalleled. You can't buy that feeling. You can't buy that level of relaxation afterwards, right? Like if I go and do, I don't know, if I get in the pool, I used to be a swimmer back in the day, right? And now you can't drag me to the pool. Like I just will not swim. But if, for example, if I get in a swim a mile, right, and I come back home, I'll be like, holy shit, Alex, like that is unbelievable. I tell you what, put your feet up, son, calm down, have a lovely evening, relax, don't worry about work. You know what I mean? If you earn it, you can
Yeah.
actually
No.
truly switch off.
No, I fully agree with you. And yes, I think jiu-jitsu gives you that sense, because when you have a good day in jiu-jitsu, it's very pleasurable, like you feel good, like, oh man, today things work out. And when you have a bad day, you go home thinking about that, like, well, why this thing didn't work? And then your brain is working, like you're challenging yourself, and you're playing some mental chess with yourself, like, why did this not work? That worked yesterday. What should I do different? And so it's a very fascinating sport for sure.
I love the whole analogy of it's like organic chess. It's
Yep.
like chess but with your body, because I really do believe that like the board game chess needs to be taught in school. We can help a lot of things, and I have actually coached a lot of kids with ADHD, right, and anger management and Tourette's and all that thing. And one of the sessions would always be, we're going to play a game of chess, because it's going to challenge them in a way that they're not used to.
Yeah, no, I
Right.
fully agree. Yeah,
And now we're adding that concept, but we're moving around. I think that's a stunning concept, and we're like, okay, yeah, how do we do that?
yeah,
I just kind of apply it towards a barbell, and like, how do I move around in a way that would be seen as virtuous? But I can also see like the complexity of BJJ, and of all this like moving around, multi-directional, rather than just lift from A to B and drop.
yeah.
It
No,
it
and that's
requires,
exactly how it is. Like,
yeah, it requires a little bit more of mental clarity, right? You
yeah,
need to you
no,
need to focus, and that's awesome, man. I think people need it.
yeah, no, I agree. I agree, and I think that explains why it's like a. I would say that jiu-jitsu might be the fastest growing sport in the world nowadays,
Wow.
or if it's not the fastest, might be like the top 2 or 3 or 4. Like, so it's exciting to see this
Wow.
sport growing such a fast pace. Like.
It seems like I'm talking my way into the closest jujitsu school, right?
Yeah, you should start.
Yeah, I'll get in there, man. I'll get in there one day when I sit around and know where a home is going to be for a specific period of time. I will start go rolling. I will start learning some skills 100%.
There you go.
I think learning I think it's was it Socrates that said it's it's something like it's depressing to be a man and not understand your body's capability or something like that. And he's talking about mankind, right, rather than just a male. And basically paraphrasing in the sense of, we need to learn what our body is capable of. This shell that we're stuck in is capable of. And I think being able to do that in more than one different ways, whether it's sport, whether that is then go and do it as a hobby or profession, whatever it is is awesome, and I think it's also necessary. It's not bound to a specific task, like we're saying, jiu-jitsu, the stuff that you learn there is not bound to the mats. As soon as you leave the mats, it's left on them, it's left there. You're like, no,
Yeah,
no, you're going to apply that to family life, your job, even yourself, your relationship with yourself. And I think we need it, man. I think there needs to be a really big push to get people moving more, in any
yeah,
way.
yeah. No, and you brought up a good point because that's something that you learn a lot in jiu-jitsu as well. You learn what your body is capable of. Like, because for example, a human being who doesn't practice sports in general, he all he knows is that he can walk, he can run if he needed, how he sits every day, and how he lays down his bed every day. But he doesn't know how flexible he is, how much his body can handle, and what he can do with his body. Like, so in jiu-jitsu, you definitely learn that because you learn so many moves that I think if it wasn't for jiu-jitsu, you would never be using your body on that way. That it's definitely like a learning curve for what you can and what you cannot do with your body. Like, and you also learn what you cannot do. Like, so, if someone catches you in an arm bar, you're gonna very quick learn that if your arm get overextended, that hurts a lot. And so you understand the whole mechanic of your body much better than any other human. Like,
Mm. It develops a little bit more self-awareness, right? Like, even if
yeah,
that is
yeah,
just in the physical sense. And again, we need it, you
yeah,
know, understand yourself and the body that you're attached to, your mind, your spirit, if you want, like your body, like everything. Understand who the fuck this thing is, and then be like, okay, how can we then go apply it to life? And then how can we
yeah.
learn and teach and grow? And yeah, like it really is appealing, man. Like, now, the martial art, in a sense, I love it how it's called an art, because it is exactly that, an art form.
Yeah, no, I agree. I fully agree. And
Massive. So I got a pretty deep question. It would be, what is your purpose then?
Was that
What is your purpose?
my purpose? So okay, so I think when I started jiu-jitsu, my goal is to become a champion, right? So it was a pretty selfish purpose, right? Like I wanted to be the best athlete I could, and and uh, and, and and I wanted that in such a deep level that that desire and that will was what made me to become like a world champion, and then I won 5 world titles and blah blah blah. And then towards I was getting older, and I know that every athlete at some point you stop and that phase of your life is ended, right? Different than all other jobs, right? If you become a doctor, I think as old as you get, better you get because people trust you more, you get more experience, blah blah blah. Being a professional athlete is the opposite, right? As old as you get, worse you get, and at some point that's gonna shut down, and you cannot do that thing anymore on that level that you used to. But I think at first my purpose was to become the best athlete I could, and then when I saw that my career would end at some point, I have a pretty deep desire towards entrepreneurship as well. So I co-founded the website bjjfanatics.com, which nowadays is the biggest online martial arts education platform in the world. And I think nowadays my purpose is to share jiu-jitsu with as many people as possible, because I truly believe on the benefits of jiu-jitsu, as we were just talking about, and as many people as we can reach with our website. I believe that I'm helping the world a little bit. I think the world would be a better place if more people do jiu-jitsu. Would be a healthier place. Would be everybody would have more mental clarity. Everybody would have less stress. So I think that's my purpose. Like it's to share jiu-jitsu with as many people as we can reach. So that's one of the questions that I'm always asking myself: how can we reach more people? And that involves like digital marketing, involves like events, involves like. So I think that's the purpose.
I think you're achieving it, man. You are. I don't think a destination is ever the goal. I think it is the journey.
I agree. I fully agree.
I don't think you have achieved it. I think you are achieving it currently and progressively.
I agree.
And I think it's that's why I got you on here, dude. That's why I reached out. Man. Like I think it's awesome, man. Like you are in your own way bridging the gap between what was mental health and physical health, and being like, hey, we can also help them both. We can combine these two because they are combined with something called a neck. We are
Yep.
we are whole. We are this
Yep.
one thing, and I think that's such a beautiful thing, man. Like we all do it in different ways. Yep, do jiu-jitsu. If it doesn't work out, great, go do something else. If it does, great, keep on with it. Like people ask me all the time because I coach a lot of CrossFit, Olympic weightlifting, and all that type of stuff, right? And in that whole realm, they're like, "Well, what happens? Do you think it's sorry?" They ask for, "Do you think it's for everybody?" And I'm like, I think everybody could do it, but at the same time, I would ask somebody, "Do they enjoy it?" And if the answer
Yep.
is no, I'll say, "Don't do it."
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
it's really that simple, like we can
Yep.
we can enjoy life, like that is and can be a goal of ours. We don't just have to like put ourselves to the sword and grind and hustle and it just be a miserable process. We can go work on our mental and physical health and maybe spiritual health as well and everything else and enjoy
Yep.
ourselves.
I fully agree, and I think like uh, jiu-jitsu makes people better people, like and I understand that for some people jiu-jitsu is not going to be a great fit, but my hope is that more and more and more people at least get exposed to jiu-jitsu and can make a decision from there. But if you look like 20 years ago, I think most of the people didn't even know what jiu-jitsu was. If you mention the word jiu-jitsu 20 years ago, nowadays, I think most of the people, oh, I have heard about this, the martial arts, right? And sometimes they don't have like the whole picture in their mind, but at least they have heard about it. And I hope that at some point they think about jiu-jitsu the same way that they think about golf. You know, like I never really played golf, but if you talk to me about golf, I know there's one guy with the bat there trying to put the ball. You know, I kind of understand, you know, like, and so I think if jiu-jitsu gets exposed to more people, the world would be a little better, you know. So that's the idea.
I would love to see a world where we really, really invest in physical activity. And I'm talking like a massive diverse of physical activity, from swimming, you know, lacrosse, jiu-jitsu, weightlifting, you name it, whatever, gymnastics, and it being brought into school, right? From a very, very young age, of just be like, okay, we're going to trial this process of, can we teach these kids how to be pretty good human beings, right? How to pay tax, right? How to pass exams, but also be fit and healthy by moving them around a lot more. Because
and for example, I live in the United States, right? And I am from Brazil. So I lived in Brazil until I was like 26, 27 years old. And then I moved to US and I'm living here for the last 10 years. And it's hard to argue that US is probably the number one country in the world, right? Like regarding like financial, lifestyle, and this and that. And in US, they invest in sport a lot more than Brazil, you know, a lot more. Brazil is pretty much like soccer and everything else. In US, you can start naming here a bunch of sports that are very legit over here, like basketball, football, golf, baseball, MMA, and the list goes on, right? Like on and on and on. And this country have done better than Brazil. So for sure, like investing on sports is also a portion of this success, you know, like so. So the same way that I see sports being very valued and with a lot of investments in US, I think one day jiu-jitsu is going to be part of that portfolio, you know, like and that's, and I think that shows like the beauty of like investing on sports. That's the point I'm trying to make here. So
yeah, I think so, man. I think it plants that seed, you know. At the end of the day, the future is the youth, you know. So if we want to invest in our future, we have to invest in the youth. And I think it does plant that seed, you know. I know they have wrestling, right? There's a big wrestling community out in the States.
Yeah, there's wrestling. There's so many sports that here in US is huge, you know, like, and this country really invests in sports, you know, like, and you see like if you do well in sports, you get college for free, you know, like there's all those benefits, and then you become like a little superhero here in the country, you know, like so.
It's mega, man.
And I don't see that happening that much in Brazil. You know? Brazil's like, if you do well in soccer, yeah, you're gonna become like, but any other sport, it's kind of like, you know, so. And then you see the difference between those two countries. You know, like one country is way ahead the other on every aspect. So, so I truly believe that in sports is very important for us as humans. You know, like and I'm glad I live in a country that values that.
100%, man. I got 3 questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's the greatest piece of life advice you've ever received?
Man, I'm always trying to have good mentors in my life since the jiu-jitsu times and until nowadays. So I have got so many advice that it's hard to point one. But for example, I consider I have had 3 instructors in my career in the jiu-jitsu world, and my very first instructor, the one from my hometown, that I went from white belt to black belt with him. What I'm going to say here was not really like an advice, because he didn't put that as an advice, but I learned from him the importance of discipline and consistency, you know, like, so, and to put that in perspective, like he would teach jiu-jitsu every day, twice a day kind of thing. And I never saw that man skipping one lesson in my life from 2001 to 2009. And including days that he got sick, that one of his relatives passed away, and he was there. Like I never saw him skipping one jiu-jitsu lesson in my life from the time that I lived there, from 2001 to 2009. And this was not an advice, but I saw with my eyes, and I brought that to my life. Like, so anything I do, if I committed myself to do, I'm not gonna skip it. Like there's no excuses, no. If I told you that I'm gonna do the podcast this day 2 p.m. blah blah blah, this day 2 p.m. I'm gonna be there. If I committed to do one project on our company that's gonna take one call per week, I'm gonna be there every single time. And so there's no slack. There's no like So I think things in life get done much easier when you. And I think it's very basic, right? But not everybody do that. Many people say, "Oh, I'm gonna do this," and they never do it. So when I tell myself that I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. And unless I'm dying, I'm gonna commit to what I agree. So this was probably like one of the biggest lessons I got in life.
And it seems like it's more of a profound lesson, right? Because it was shown to you rather than told to you.
Everybody can talk, but not everybody gets to do. So Ricardo, my first instructor, he did for 9 years, the time that I lived there. So it was very important to my life.
Talk is cheap, man.
Yeah.
100%. So the follow-on question would be, what's the worst piece of life advice you've ever received?
You're asking tough questions here, Alex. Let me think here. Well, I would need to think about that one. I don't really remember. As everybody else, like when you're trying to do something that it's hard, you hear a lot of people saying like, "Why are you doing this?" Yeah. So, for example, I remember when I decided I would do jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu was a very small sport in Brazil, and I was in college. My dad obligated me to do college, and I remember like seeing some friends saying like, "Man, are you crazy in doing this? Do you think you're gonna make any money with this? Like, do you think you're gonna be able to pay your bills at some point? Like, what are you doing?" Like, and I'm glad I didn't hear them. So, I think in life it's important to filter who you get advice from, and sometimes not even only advice, opinions as well. Right? And sometimes people gives you opinion even when you didn't ask. Like I didn't ask, like, do you think I'm gonna be able to do well doing this sport? No, they were just throwing out there. So I don't remember the advice, but I do remember like a lot of people saying things like this. Like
that's it, man. Like we like to brainstorm, right, and share ideas. But then, say for example, I'm sharing an idea to you, right, and then you just say, "Oh no, I think you should do this." It's like, whoa, hold on a minute, like. There's no need for opinions now, right? Like
like many,
we're just sharing.
And I don't even blame them because I think we are so used about having an opinion about every subject,
about everything,
that anytime you hear something, you want to give it. And that's an exercise that I even force myself. Like I really try to control my opinions because we tend to want to give opinions for everything, but many times like it's just better to be quiet, like just listen, like be quiet and listen what the person's saying, and maybe he's gonna ask your opinion, but probably not. Probably just want to tell you just want to talk, like. And so that's interesting.
100%, man, 100%. Last question would be, what are the 3 words you would tell your younger self?
What's that?
What are the 3 words you would tell your younger self?
I didn't understand. What are the 3 words?
Yeah. So you can make a sentence out of those 3 words, or you can go like 3 individual words that you would tell your younger self.
Oh, I would tell my younger self like it would be 4 words, not 3, but do what you love.
Oh, love it.
Yeah. Because I think that's something that my family didn't understand in the very beginning. Like uh, there is so much value in life to do what you love, because I always say this, like, life is short, but life is long, like, and
Mhm.
if you think that you're gonna live like 80 or 90 years, and the whole planet it's like 8 billion years, life is very short. I get that, but when you're doing something that you don't enjoy doing and the time lasts forever, like, so if you do something that you don't like every day, life is very long, very very long, like it's gonna take forever for the time to pass. So if you do what you love, time is short, and you might do much better than doing something that you don't like, like just because it gets better paid or this and that. And I think the whole world is such like a huge market, like that it's much better to do something that you love in a very small market
Mm.
than doing something that you hate on a big market just because you're gonna get well paid, just because you think you're gonna get well paid, like. So so that's kind of like how I think about it.
Yeah, agreed, man. Like 100%. I'd rather what's the quote? Find what you love and let it kill you. And
Yep, yep, yep.
I think that's it, man.
Yeah,
Do something that lights you up, man. Like,
yeah, no, I agree.
brother, thank you so much for this, man. I feel honored.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate, and
Thank you.
thanks for your time as well. And it
Thank you
was a
for helping
pleasure to
people,
chat with
man.
you. Thank you. Thanks
You
so
know,
much.
and one day we'll cross paths, we'll roll around, and more than likely you'll choke me the fuck out. But
There you
I
go.
I
I hope
appreciate
so.
it, brother. Yeah, there's a lot of
Thank
people that
you.
want to choke me out. It's okay. Thank you, brother. We'll
Thanks.
speak soon.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks, man. Bye, everybody.